Now, water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Magic Archer has both physical and magical attacks. It does quite well with either direction, up close and also distance.
The meaning of the pray permit me to help you now as before. If there is
well, we have kisses for climbing. Partnered with immolation, it's very good. Sunflare is great. It gets better results with the permanent enchanted daggers equipped. Sunflare and also Senshin both do better with perma enchanted daggers. Sunflare has great stagger and knockdown, and then fire capabilities, which is awesome for many, many enemies. Shadow Shackle is great for utility. It will lock in smaller to mid-size enemies, and then it will torpor larger enemies while they are in the sigil. The higher the tier, the larger the radius. And then Senshin's damage is based on magic stat, but also your magic defense. It has good knockdown for small enemies, and then the Holy enchantment. Magic Rebalancer is fairly useless as its description, but hidden is the boost of your magic by 20%. Use that 4 times and you'll basically do double damage with magic. And it does apply to immolation if the daggers are enchanted. Maybe physical, I don't think so. No, just enchanted daggers. And then immolation is awesome for climbing, fire. It does best with pure physical for the most part until you get to a weak enemy to fire. Then enchanted daggers will do better for the immolation. Nothing much with staffs. Perdition is awesome and fun, but not really recommended or needed. The Bose Skills, that's where the magic happens. You got Sixfold for ice. Hunter is holy, but ultimately kind of weak for damage. It'll do well for small enemies or crowd control, but really lacks in damage for larger enemies. Explosive Rivet, very awesome. Great stagger, knockdown, fire. And then Ricochet is also very great. Perfect for small rooms. Perfect for enemies weak to lightning. Magical Flare is okay. I mean, it's good for lighting up a room. It can kill a crowd of skeletons, but not that great. Funnel Trail is fair. It's utility. It'll lock down smaller enemies. It can pull down harpies. Ward Arrow is great. It will protect you and pawns from debilitations. Bracer is also pretty good, making you and your pawns very hard to knock down. And Great Sacrifice is very powerful, especially on those weak to dark. It's not really based off of your magic or your weapons so much. I can't remember what it's based off of. Mostly just the weakness to dark. Dagger skill choices can be tough. There's a lot of good ones, and when you're just looking at 3, I like Sunflare for its fire and stagger, and I like Magic Rebalancer for its damage increase. Immolation is nice, but if I do immolation, then I need kisses and I need reset. And Shadow Shackle is also great. I usually play Magic Archer with bow focus and then have utility for the daggers, so Shadow Shackle, Magic Rebalancer, maybe Sunflare. And then the bow is always the same: ice, fire, lightning, the 3 main elements. For augments, conservation is helpful for stamina on use for the bow, or Sunflare, but I mean, it's not that heavy on stamina. Articulacy helps with cast time. Stability is always a favorite. Opportunism and adhesion is good for the immolation style. Just run up climb kisses. And then for dagger choice, I usually prefer the permanent enchanted daggers because I often use Sunflare and Senshin. Well, I guess I don't really use Senshin all that much, but Sunflare. Immolation, usually pure physical is better. But until you reach the undead or even cursed dragon, then having a permanent enchanted dagger is going to be better for the fire weak. Really, anything that's just weak to fire, it'll do better, like the sulfur saurians as well. But still, pure physical immolation does just fine for the most time. The magic archer rings, like the bowman's ring and shadow shackle, all that, they are nice. They often increase the damage or numbers or the radius or duration, but ultimately they're not needed or required. I don't really use them too often, mostly because they're just difficult to get the exact combination that I want to get. So I give up, ignore it, and hey, it's not needed. Also, the Worm King ring will reduce cast time, just like from Mystic Knight and Sorcerer and the Articulacy augment. And Magic Archer does better with magic focus. I mean, it's in the name. The bow is entirely magic, the staff is entirely magic. The daggers, I don't know. I guess there's a couple of physical, couple magic, couple utility. Utility don't matter either direction. And then those two physical daggers. Yeah, use physical daggers for those skills. The two magic daggers, use magical daggers for them, the permanent enchanted ones. Utility doesn't matter. Immolation, mostly based off of strength, so that is ideal. But mostly all about the magic bow, which is based off of magic. So Shadow Shackle will lock in the smaller enemies, even these undead guys. They're a little bigger, but it'll lock them in. And then you go a little bigger, like a Minotaur, the Eliminator. It will torpor them, the bigger ones, while they're in the sigil, but it won't lock them in. And then know your enemy elemental weaknesses: fire, lightning, ice, so on. And so here, if I had Immolation, I would prefer to have permanent enchanted daggers while doing Immolation on these guys, because it's going to have much better results. Pure physical Immolation on these guys still does well enough, but you see a huge difference when you're using the permanent enchanted ones with Immolation. And then since Sunflare is a magic focused skill, having the permanent enchanted daggers equipped instead of the pure physical like this, the permanent enchanted ones would much have better results with Sunflare. And know your enemy elemental weaknesses. Lightning here. Didn't get him too many times. Luckily we got Shadow Shackle. We can lure Ogre over here. Lock her in. She will be torpid while in the sigil. And all will be well.